The Grief Bully podcast. I am your host, J.Nicole. Thank you for joining our weekly discussion around grief, mental health, and your overall personal wellness. The Grief Bully podcast will serve as a vehicle to help you navigate life's journey. Be sure to subscribe, review, and share the podcast with anyone in your life that you think it will help. Let's bully grief together. What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode of the Grief Bully podcast. I am your host, J.Nicole. Today is Monday, July the 20th. We are back in the studio, rocking and rolling. We've got another episode for you today. I am sure you are going to enjoy this guest. Before we get into that, let's talk about last week. I didn't give you guys a new episode. I recapped the interview that I had with Taj and TJ Jackson. So please go back, check that episode out. It's on YouTube, it's on Apple, Spotify, all that good stuff. I definitely want to encourage you to do that. I also want to take this time to thank our sponsors, BetterHelp. They are an online counseling organization, so you are able to have therapy sessions from the comfort of your home, text messages, phone sessions, video sessions. They have it all for you. It's affordable, averages about $65 per week. And while they do not take medical coverage, they do have financial aid. If you are in need or you are interested in learning more, go to trybetterhelp, that's HELP.com/thegriefbully. So again, that's trybetterhelp, HELP.com/thegriefbully. You're going through a tough time in your life, you don't know who to turn to, you feel like you can benefit from some professional counseling, definitely try BetterHelp. So now that we got the housekeeping out of the way, we are rolling in the studio. We are nearing episode 50. So I am feeling great about that. I'm excited about where the podcast is going. I am not in the studio by myself, like I said. No solo round today. We have a guest that I am thrilled to have on the show today. We actually connected on social media where I've met a lot of great people over the last year or so. And her story instantly just touched me. And I remember reading her blog post, and I was like, wow, like I cannot wait for the book to come out. So I sent her a message saying that, and we hadn't even really had a conversation before at that time, but I just know a great writer and a great story when I see one. And so I wanted to offer that encouragement, if you will. So today on the show, we have Amy Buckley with us from Lemonade Instead. It's a blog, it's a platform, it's just an amazing movement going on. So Amy, how are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for the introduction. It was quite the introduction. I appreciate it. And I definitely remember that message, and I appreciated that so much.
Yeah, you know what? I read the blog and I was just like, wow, like this is an amazing story. And it was just very well written. And what I liked the most about it was that you wrote it when you were ready and you started it when you were ready. And I think that that's so important for us on this journey. And so today we'll get into some conversation, guys. We're going to just talk a little bit about Amy's story, her grief journey. And I know that she has a lot to offer us all through her resilience, through her ability to cope and to move through this journey. So Amy, on this show, we talk about our grief, our experiences. We always speak from the level of comfort that we feel. I understand that what we're talking about is not a new bike you just bought or a new car. You know, we're talking about some of the most difficult times that we have experienced in our lives. And so with that being said, I know you've experienced a tragic loss in your life. I'm sure you've lost other people as well, but more specifically the loss of your sister. So if you want to chime in on that and just kind of take us to the beginning of your journey, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So I obviously appreciate that, the comfort level. And like you said, with the time frame, yes. So my grief journey started about 9.5 years ago. I lost my identical twin sister on January 9th, 2011. We turned 20 on November 21st. So we had been 20 for about a month and a half. And we were hanging out with a group of friends. We went to Florida State University, and I was not in the room at the time, but a gun was being messed around with and accidentally went off. I was told about it within probably 30 seconds. And I went into the room to, see what was going on. And at that time, I did try to resuscitate my sister, but I think she was already deceased at the time. I've never lost anybody before my sister, my identical twin sister, and there's no way to describe to you my relationship with her, just as, I mean, I know you've lost your father, but just, it's just different for everyone. Every relationship, no matter if you've lost a twin too, it's just different. So yes, we were side by side through everything. We had probably only slept in a room alone a handful of times. We shared everything. We even at my parents' house, we slept in the same room. And there was a spare room. We actually moved out of rooms and then decided that's not a good idea. So we moved back into the same room. This was the first loss I've ever had. I was 20. It rocked my world. It was completely insane. The only thing I've ever lost before was, a cat. I've, lost people that I know, but not necessarily close friends. So I had no idea. I had no clue what I was going into. It was the best way I can describe it is if I were to lose anybody in the world, she would have been the last person that I would have chosen.
Yeah, that is definitely, first of all, thank you for your bravery. Thank you for your willingness to share and to walk us through that. I know it's not easy to talk about, and just like you said, although a lot of us have lost different people along our journey, it's going to be different. And I have to tell you, a lot of times people say, I couldn't imagine. But what I've learned recently is that it actually makes more sense if you say I could imagine, because I could imagine how awful and devastating and just tragic that experience could be. And it's just something where we have to take a pause and really process that. Because one, I want to extend my condolences, and I've said that to you before, and I truly mean that. In addition to that, though, the age that you were, and for that to be your first experience with loss and grief and all of the emotions that come along with it. I mean, at the age of 20, we're kind of just still coming into ourselves and not necessarily at this place of fully understanding life. And then to have something so difficult come across your path, I know it's had to be something, really hard to deal with. So how were you able to move from, let's just say, day one, right? So yeah, day one, the tragedy happened. Now we're at day two. How were you able to begin to cope? Was that initially or before that? And sidebar, before you answer, because I'm going to be able to cut this off, your bracelets, if you have bracelets on?
No, I don't.
Oh, I keep hearing like a...
Oh gosh, sorry. I'm probably moving around too much.
It's okay. No, I just want to make sure. I'll be able to edit this out, but I just wanted to make sure. All right.
Sorry.
No problem. So basically, you were at day one, and you have day two comes. What does that look like when you start to even be able to move forward? And maybe not day two, because that is pretty soon, but just what does that look like? How do you even start to go on?
Yeah, so for me, it was truly, and I say it a lot, it was that survival mode. It was remembering to eat. I'll move my hair. Is remembering to eat, remembering to drink water, taking a shower. It was really these basic steps in the beginning for me. Like I said, I did not know how to live my life by myself. That person was with me all the time. We were very dependent on each other. We were extremely dependent. So I was kind of learning how to live my life by myself for the first time in 20 years. The first night I slept between my parents. I was 20 and slept in a queen bed between my parents. And then I slept on their floor. So, it was really those, it was those small steps, and it was truly, you know, trying to make it day by day. So, you know, I slept between them the first night, then I moved a mattress onto the floor. It was these small baby steps over, you know, months at a time. And then I eventually decided it was okay for me. I could move upstairs, and I could go back upstairs into my bedroom. You know, it was just really these small steps, and knowing that each day was a victory. And someone might think it as so small to remember to eat dinner, but to me, that's a victory. And to take a shower, that was a victory. And again, these steps were small, but they got, quote, bigger and bigger, and harder and harder. But I just took it truly day by day and step by step. And yeah, they just got, you know, it was okay. Now I can remember to eat. Now I can remember to take a shower. Now I'm going to be able to sleep in a room by myself. You know, it was these small little steps that just, once I achieved one, then it was on to the next.
Yeah, I have to say that I think that's one thing on the grief journey that gets overlooked are those small things, because when you said I had to remember to eat, remember to take a shower, I think that gets taken for granted that you just operate, a person will experience that type of level of trauma and then you can just go the next day and take a shower, eat, do all these things. And no, like it really gets to that point. And so those are huge victories to be able to take that step for sure. What would you say was the hardest part, I guess, if you will, or the most difficult on your journey so far? I mean, I know you had the journey and then your blog and your mission, if you will. I think it was about maybe 10 years or so you said, and then you started that. But what was that like in between that real pivot point and when everything happened?
You know, it's interesting because after I was able to make these, you know, small steps, I really kind of dove into being determined that I was not going to let this take my life as well. So I was going into school, and I went into school full time, and I went in and I worked full, you know, almost full time while being in school full time. And I think that's really how I coped with it in the beginning. And it may not have been good, but it helped me and it worked. So basically it, it's almost that now, in a sense, is more difficult, as crazy as that sounds. I think your 20s are filled with you trying to, at least for me, it was trying to get my degree, trying to get those jobs, you know, and they are busy. And I packed that time in to keep me busy, and it did help me. And I can't say it was wrong, because it helped me, and I'm where I am today because of how, you know, I did that. And what really helped me was I worked at 3 nonprofits here in Jacksonville, and just really kind of diving into helping other people, seeing other people's stories and seeing other people's journeys and their stories. You know, we aren't alone, and everyone has a story, and everyone has trauma, and everyone has loss, and really being able to listen to other people. Like I didn't start talking about this until now. You know, I really, for all these years, I've just listened to other people, and it's been helpful. You know, I'm not the only one who's lost someone, and I think that's important, and that's, you know, why you're here. That's why I'm here, to normalize it and to talk about it, and it's so important. But you know, you asked about, so it's interesting because my life is, in a sense, somewhat slowed down now. Obviously I have 2 young kids, so that's very busy. But I think another misconception too, maybe, is that, you know, now it has been 10 years, so I'm fine. And I'm very happy, but I think it's more bittersweet now, you know, with my kids and with these huge life moments. It's very hard. And again, it's normalizing that and having those conversations, that just because it's been 10 years, I just told someone the other night that sometimes I feel it's harder now than it was then. You know,
What do you think makes it harder? What aspect of it is harder? So I know you said the milestones. Is it because your sister's not there, or is it because you feel guilty that you're accomplishing it? If you don't mind sharing on that.
No, yeah, I definitely, obviously the guilt part for sure, but I think more so of the milestones. I think, you know, marriages and kids, and knowing there should be cousins and just all these different things that, even with you, that you're achieving, and the people that are missing out on seeing it is it's a lifetime journey. And I think, it's interesting. I'm better now because I know how to cope with it, but it's harder now because so much is being missed out on.
Wow. Sounds like a blog post. I don't know if you've
Oh
ever
yeah.
in that, but that entire
Yeah.
part there is that it's harder now. It's better now because you know how to cope with it,
Right.
but it's harder now. Yeah, I think what you're saying is so helpful, because I think there's a lot of people who listen to this podcast and that I've encountered that feel that they should be at a certain point, and that
Yes.
they should, time has passed, but it could be 10 years, it could be 20 years. Some people just really don't know how to move through that. Did anyone guide you or help you or show you how to move through it? Did you have therapy, counseling, your family support? What was that like?
Yes. So the biggest, hands down for me, the absolute best way that I coped and the best help to me was a therapist. I had met with a couple before, the one that I synced with, and they just didn't, click. And I made a post about this, but basically, obviously you have to find your right therapist. But the one I found was my lifeline. It was how I made it. I just really went, I went from step by step to, okay, now I've met this person, I'm going to go appointment to appointment. So I made it to, I just got to make it to the next appointment. That's what I have to do. So yes, therapy for me was huge. It's actually how it shaped how I ended up getting my degree, and, trying to shadow her educational experience. So yes, therapy for me was huge, and family has been a huge support for me. We do not talk about it really, though. I don't use them as a source of talking about my grief. That's just how I've chosen to do it, and it's more helpful for me to talk to that third party versus my parents. It's just too hard.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe that is something that could be difficult, because maybe you don't want to maybe ruin the moment. I mean, I don't want to put
No, yeah.
words, but it's kind of like it's the understood, it's the unspoken. Like, you all went through this experience, and so I can understand that. This kind of similar for me when I don't post certain things on social media, because my family does follow me. So
Right.
just to throw a random video of my dad or things
Right.
like that, I'm just like, I try to be considerate of that, because just because this is where I am on my journey doesn't mean that this is where they are or they'll feel comfortable with that, because I
Yes.
don't want to be a trigger to anyone, but I just have this burning desire within myself. Like you were saying, helping others and showing other people on this journey has helped me with my ability to cope and to deal with things. But you have an amazing strength when it comes to this journey, for sure.
Thank you.
What would you offer to someone that does feel hopeless? Like, they just don't feel like one of those days where you just felt completely hopeless on a journey, and you looking back now and you're seeing yourself there. What would you say?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. So really, because I was there. I was there for a long time. And it sounds crazy, but it's really just putting one foot in front of the other. It's knowing that this is normal, and it's normal to feel hopeless, especially when you've experienced significant loss. And you just put one foot in front of the other. You don't think about 3 months from now, 2 days from now. You put one foot in front of the other, and you acknowledge where you're at. You acknowledge that you don't feel hope right now. And you just keep putting one foot in front of the other. I know that sounds, crazy, but really you keep doing that, and then you'll make those steps, and you'll have those moments where you will make strides. And if you keep putting those, one foot in front of the other. And I know that probably doesn't sound helpful,
I
but
think it sounds very helpful. I think this is the thing too, what you're kind of what I'm hearing too is people think that there's this magic answer or this very profound response, and sometimes it's just that remembering to eat, remembering to take a shower, putting one foot before the other, because as you said, we're all at one point in our journey. Do you believe that someone could go from being kind of like where we are now and then maybe regress and just get back, like feel like they're in day one or day two?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've had lately, just I do have bad days, very bad days. I was coming home from Costco the other day and just burst into tears, but that's part of it, and it's okay. And I think, like you said, it was just I was talking to a friend the other day about success, and we all view success differently. Someone may view success as, working at a coffee shop and barely being able to pay rent. And someone may view success as being a multi-billionaire. We all view success differently. And just because someone is saying they had a successful day because they went to work and they worked out and they did everything right, well, your successful day may have been eating that meal and taking care of yourself because you're dealing with significant loss and trauma. So I just think you need to really focus on your journey. And it's hard today. It's really hard with social media and everything. And it's filtering out. Can you filter out that social media that doesn't make you feel good? So doesn't make you feel successful, because how you view success does not equate to how I view success.
Yeah, very true. You actually started to go right into what I was going to say next. I was thinking about the fact that we did connect on social media. How has social media, your online community, we'll definitely have an opportunity to talk more so about your blog and everything that you have going on. But just as far as like finding community or not, how has that been for you?
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's so interesting because someone asked me this the other day, and I have not I've been on Instagram, I guess, since it started, and I have never once gone to the search button and typed in grief. But again, like I said, I was not where I am today. And real quick, like I would kind of piggyback on that. I don't feel like you can help someone unless you've helped yourself. And that's why now is the right time for me. I feel like I'm in a good place. So anyways, yes, going back to that, I made I made my Instagram on my sister's 9th anniversary, just because I've wanted to do this for so long, and I know I have a lot to say and I want to do it. So anyways, I started to see all these pages and I was just mind blown. And it's just incredible, the community that is surrounded on Instagram and online with grief. And I was telling a friend again the other day how incredible it is that this can be our passion, and we can be online and use these tools to try to help people.
Very true. I first of all, seeing that you launched your Instagram, you started everything on a day that means so much to you, and the reframing part of your journey, I think that's a beautiful thing for sure and worth noting. I felt the same way. I didn't know there was so many grief pages. There's the grief this, the grief that.
Yeah.
And the thing is though, I think it's beautiful because everyone's voice is different, their style is different, how they go about it. And it makes me happy because what I take away from it is no one will be left behind. That there are so many people who
Yes.
will connect with your voice that might not connect with mine and vice
Right.
versa. And so I felt happy where I guess some people could feel defeated, like, oh man, there's so many people trying to do things in the grief community, where I'm like, hey, this is awesome. Someone who is more of an introvert and might not
Right.
respond to my videos that are like, hey, grief sucks and blah, blah, blah. Where some people,
Right.
they enjoy it and they find it refreshing. So I totally agree. Finding a grief community has been a great thing. So
Yeah.
so go ahead. There you go.
And like I mean the messages, and I know you've had them too, it's overwhelming in a good way. Someone the other day was like, so sorry you have to read all these depressing messages. And I said, absolutely not. This is what I'm good at, and this is what I like. And that sounds crazy, but it is true. It's what I'm good at. And I am so thankful to be able to read these messages. I am so thankful to be able to make this platform. And what you said, like, I give me all the grief pages, what's wrong with that. And that's another big thing, that the reason that I started mine is because I did not have anything like this when I went through it. Nothing. And that was a huge part of why I decided to do this.
Yes, and that's beautiful, having purpose. I think even today, just as far as beyond just grief, just showing people that whatever you go through in your life, if you choose to, right, or if you feel it's your calling or your purpose or whatever have you, you can go for it. As bizarre as it might sound, I would never in my life imagine that I would spend every day, like you just said, talking about grief, talking to people about grief, hearing some of the stories that I've heard, and just feeling like, wow, I mean, where do I even begin? But at the same time, I say, hey, you know what, God, thank you. Like, I'm glad that I have the
Yeah.
strength and that I can be this light and this person to help these people. And I believe that I'm helping myself. And not even just that, I'm learning. I'm learning
Yes.
so much from so many amazing people like yourself and other people every single day, even the people who don't have platforms
Right.
geared towards grief, but just people on the journey and the conversations that we've had. So I do want to take this time to bounce into our In Love and Memory segment. It's a part of our show where I love because it was important to me to make sure that we had time where we set aside to actually acknowledge those that have passed away and just give that time to just say, hey, you know, we haven't forgotten about you and show that love. Because I think that it gets forgotten sometimes. You
Yeah.
feel like, man, no one cares about my person anymore. And so to say their name is to humanize that. So this week, guys, our In Love and Memory segment is definitely going to go out to Amy's sister, Ashley. And so this is in love and memory of Ashley. Today, we just want to send so much love to yourself, to your family, and make sure you continue to rest in peace and fly high. And if you want to say anything, you absolutely can. A lot of people do, a lot of people don't. It's truly your decision, but I always want to give that option.
Thank you. I guess I'll just say it the best way I could describe her. She saw people that most people don't see. So it's
That's
very, yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
That is definitely
Thank you.
beautiful. You're great with the short beautifuls that just
Oh God.
a few words that are so
Thank you.
impactful, so
Thank you.
impactful.
Thank
As
you.
we continue to move through here, I want to take some time to go into our inspirational boost, which is a part of our show where we just give a quote, say a little bit about something. It's our shows come out on Monday, so it's important to me to give something thought provoking, if you will. Our inspirational boost is sponsored by Adina J Designs. They make, create, and inspire us through decorated apparel, wood signs, custom tumblers, and doormats. So many amazing things. Definitely go follow them on Instagram at Adina J Designs, ADENA JAYDESIGNS. Tell them that you heard about it on the Grief Bully podcast. You might get a discount. I'm not sure, but it's worth trying. The quote this week is kindness begins with the understanding that we all struggle. Kindness begins with the understanding that we all struggle. I personally think that's beautiful. That's kind of echoing what we're talking about here today is that no matter where you are on your journey, don't ever feel like it's too small or insignificant because what's a struggle for you might not be for me. And so never feel like it doesn't matter at all. As we continue to move through here and start to wrap up the show, I do want to ask this question. Amy, I asked this to all of our guests. If you had to choose a color for your grief, what would it be and why?
Okay, so it would be yellow. So I love your hat. No, it would be yellow because obviously lemonade said lemons are yellow, but also my sister's favorite flower is sunflower. So love yellow, sunflowers and lemons.
Sunflowers and lemons again.
That's right. Lemonade instead. Yes.
Definitely. So let's go into that. Let's talk about lemonade instead. Talk about your mission, your blog, everything that you have going on because I want nothing more than for my following, my audience to definitely check you out, support the blog, follow you on social media, and just connect and continue to grow.
Yes, and I so appreciate that. So lemonadeinstead.com is basically a blog I've created. And what I really do with my posts is posts, basically they start with a personal experience. So it's something, my last one was about going through clothes. And I explained a little bit about going through my sister's clothes. And then I either try to end each post with a positive note or, lemonade instead, or I try to do, two grievers and explain to the grievers, what they're going to go through, and to non-grievers. Again, it's normalizing grief and trying to help everyone, friends of grievers, everything. A lot of my friends did not have a clue what to do. So again, it's normalizing grief for everyone. My Instagram, Lemonade Instead, I try to post again, every day, just like you, where it's sharing something that I've gone through for the day or some encouragement, some sort of experience that I have with grief. My Facebook is Lemonade Instead. Really the idea behind it, I was trying to come up with a name, and I was just thinking, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade instead. I've really been focused since this happened. I was 20 again, and I was so set on not letting this define me. I was so set in my head, in my head was drilled in that I am not going to let this take me, and I'm going to do something with my life, and I'm going to be happy. From day one, I'm going to be happy. And I did not have a place that, where you had your pain, but you also had your happiness. And that is the whole, idea behind this, is we can have both. And I really, really believe in that. I have my pain, I carry it every single day, but I also have a lot of happiness, and I carry that every single day. And I want to encourage people to have their pain and their happiness as well.
Beautiful. I love, out of everything you just said, is that we can have both.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
I feel like that's so amazing and true. And I think we need to know that we don't have to separate it. You can have both and carry that on your journey. I am going to make sure that I put in the show notes the website link, your
Thank you.
social media link. Make sure that we're supporting, that we're on there, reaching out, showing love, because honestly, your courage, your resilience is definitely something that I admire. And I'm sure my audience will as well. We thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing your love and light with us. Before we get out of here, is there anything that you would like to offer to the audience? One or two last things before we wrap up? Hope
I
or
want to say thank you to you, and I admire you as well. I love the we're gonna bully grief together again. Together, let's. You support me, I support you. I love it. It's great. It cannot be too many grief accounts. To end it, I guess, again, you can have both, and you don't have to prove your pain to anyone. You don't have to prove your trauma to anyone. You can have your pain, and you can have your happiness as well.
love it. You have been an amazing guest.
Thank
Guys,
you.
we are wrapping up our episode here today. We do hope that you enjoyed it. We hope that you find some inspiration, some impact on your life was made today. We truly hope that. We can thank you for choosing to spend your time listening to this podcast. I'm sure there are a million things you could have been doing today. Listen, we're on YouTube. I am on Facebook. We are on Instagram, which is where you guys know that I love to absolutely hang out the most. Coming up soon, I'm going to have the hats coming out, so definitely follow me. Pay attention for the Blue Heart Gang. But I'm your host, J.Nicole. Follow me on Instagram at I_AM_J.Nicole. Guys, till next time, you already know. Love and light. Peace. Okay, I am going.